So, we're super excited to be back on schedule. Yay. So, we are going to be talking today. But, do you want to do any openings? We haven't really seen too much influx of comments, likes, and shares, but there's been some little activity. So, we're excited about that.
You went a couple of different places and kind of lost me. Thank you for the people who like, comment, share, subscribe. At this point in time, there's other collaborations that have happened with me. There's other ones that'll be coming up. So hopefully we'll be doing some mixing and mingling, and then hopefully reaching out to other people's audiences will get us some more of the traction that we're looking for. Once again, we apologize, like we said last time. We haven't been as consistent as we could be, as we would like to be, but it also makes it easier when the people that watch, that view this, they share it, they like, they share opinions, they share thoughts, criticisms, constructive or otherwise, because it allows us to understand what we can work on, what we can change. Maybe there's topics that you would like us to discuss, or maybe we can, bring other people in. We're working on a few interviews are harder than, it's not hard for me to interview someone, but a lot of times people don't want to be on camera. I'm learning that, like in couples even, there's some, the guy might be willing to talk to you, but he's like, I don't want to be on camera. Yeah. And the woman's like, okay, and it's kind of difficult to have a conversation about a couple when you only have one member that's willing to be on camera, and then they're kind of looking off camera like, is that okay to say, babe? And it's like, so trying to find more people that are amenable to be able to be on this podcast and be able to be shared and get their stories out there, because we're all in relationships and we're all dealing with different things. So your story might be helpful to somebody else. That's why we tell our stories. That's why you see some of our upside down, some of the experiences that we have. So we want to continue to share that, and we also want more people to share with us. So because we're all in this together.
And happy anniversary to us, because our anniversary is really close to when we're posting this.
I don't know why you decided to do that.
What?
Because you don't even remember what the date is.
It's the 15th. I know, but I don't remember what date we're going to be posting this.
So why did you even say it?
Because I know it's going to be close. So happy anniversary to us.
Yeah, happy anniversary to
I know what day it is. I just don't know what day we're posting this. So I know it's close.
I'm glad you finally got the month right. Yeah, it's not me that forgets. It's her that forgets.
Well, it's not like we only had one to remember.
I remember both of them. When did we get married?
September 14th.
It was the 10th.
Ah, I was close.
See. So anybody out there, for any guys out there that's dealing with somebody that's like, oh well, you never remember whatever. Oh no, they forget too. And look, you all of a sudden start thinking that it is. If I would have said, yeah, it is this date, I'm like, yeah, it's August 15th. And then she's like, actually, it's July 15th. You've been telling me for 3 years, and I've been
only been married twice for 2 years. We've only been married for 2 years.
What is in this cup? That's just water. It's the second time you said.
We've only been married for 2 years.
Okay, no, that's untrue.
And this is our second year anniversary.
No, we would have been married a cumulative of 3 years.
This time around.
What you mean? That matters. that first year matters.
This time around has only been 2 years.
Anyway, back at the rant. Matter of fact, actually, it kind of segues into it. So
yes.
Today we're talking about the pressure of lifestyle and just understanding when it's your season, right?
Yes.
So we just mentioned our first marriage. Which is, apropos, because our first marriage, it wasn't our season to be married.
Right.
It was our season to learn. It was our season to deal with heartbreak. It was our season to deal with turmoil. It was our season to understand that at that moment we weren't right for each other, and understand that because we're so opposite and different, in order to be what we need to be for each other, it takes an excessive amount of stuff that neither one of us came to the table with, which is actually very interesting. It takes an excessive amount of patience for me some days. And it takes an excessive amount of her, like, I don't know what the word would be, but like gusto, I guess. Gusto would be a good word.
A good one.
So it wasn't our season. This time around, we have struggles, like everybody has struggles, but our struggles are different. It's more our season. And talking about the pressure of lifestyle.
Yeah.
When we got married the first time, we had the pressure. Actually, probably was the lack of pressure for you, because you're like, yeah, we're getting married and we're married and that's it. For me, I had a vantage point of what I thought marriage should look like. And so there was a pressure for me based off the lifestyle I wanted for myself that wasn't the same that my wife at the time saw. So we had a lot of conflicts. And then, growing up, you saw, I don't want to use Disney, but I'm saying like rom-coms, Disney, you kind of have this perspective about what your, if you find a person you want to marry, this is your Prince Charming. So your Prince Charming and life kind of lines up this way. For me, I understood there was work involved. I didn't understand that I could do all the work in the world on me to try to make me be better, but if you're not receptive or somebody else is not receptive, it really doesn't matter. That was what I was unaware of.
So we want to talk about the pressure of lifestyle, like you said, and it's like, it's not necessarily the pressure of life. Everybody knows what the pressure of life is. We want to go a little bit deeper and talk about lifestyle. So Keeping Up with the Joneses, that's a saying for a reason. Keeping Up with the Kardashians is a TV show for a reason. People see things that on the surface or in like the picture frame that they get to see, because you're not gonna see everything, but in the picture frame of that person's life, they see this person has something I want. It might be the most toxic version of the thing, but they're not going to show you that. They're just going to show you, I have this huge house. Not that huge house is going into foreclosure. There's termites. Like, all this stuff is happening to this house.
What you had to really do to get it, if it's really yours, who helped you get it.
Yeah.
All these
you
things
see
matter.
is the house, and you're like, oh my goodness, why do they have that house and I don't? Let alone if it's a sibling. Like, we were talking about that because I have siblings. So for a little bit there, I was comparing myself to my siblings. Like, my brother has this big family, and I'm like, I would like to have more kids. And my sister is, she's married. She seems to be happy. She's younger than me. Like, she's like there's different things that I like, quote unquote, envy from their relationships, because like for a little bit, it just seemed like their relationship, her and her husband, it's just so simple because there's so much
she hasn't had to change, and
it's so much.
She gets to kind of be herself,
right?
Where you have kind of had to reinvent yourself,
right?
So in order to
a certain extent, I was envious of the fact that she had it. From what I saw, she had it so easy. I'm sure if she's watching this now, she's probably gonna be like, "Ha, no, not easy." But it's just the way that things are portrayed, whether it be on social media, because that's a huge thing that we didn't have years and years ago, that we constantly can use now to compare ourselves to other people and be envious of other things and just stress ourselves out about getting all these things, wanting all these things, and not really knowing what it takes to get these things. So like the house we touched on, we are in the process of moving, or we may have just moved depending on when this airs. Or maybe we're not moving at all. So
we're not moving within 2 weeks.
We're in the process.
This is going to air within the next 2 weeks.
Yes, but like depending on when this airs and what happens, we may have decided not to move.
Oh, okay. Or better yet, once again, a good segue. Better yet, it's not our season.
Yeah.
So to kind of touch on that one, last year, so everybody had to deal with the pandemic. Last year was supposed to be the year where we were supposed to do everything that we planned on doing this year. But because of what happened last year, it severely affected everything. So let's say jobs and stuff like that, employment, different things like that. Not much happened with me, but it did make me understand the level of security that I kind of have right now, and I don't want to mess with that. Now, there's more jobs available. At the same time, there's less of a labor force. The positions that I work on, they rely very heavily on a labor force that was already dwindling, and that when we have people come in, they're not well trained, they don't really care, they're back and forth, they have multiple jobs. It was already stressful before, it becomes more stressful now. So for me to move up in advance, which was going to be what was happening, in order for me to move up in advance, a job that could be very stressful, very taxing, is going to be doubly stressful and taxing, because I'm not going to have the labor force to be able to do the jobs that needs to happen. So it means that I either change my whole career trajectory, I stay where I'm at, or and so it's stressful looking at that. Buying a house was on the docket, and we had saved money initially. Something happened with the car that we just got rid of, and that cost us thousands. Then we invested that money. Then just recently, that would have cost us more money, so we ended up getting another car. And we were able to do it. Thankfully, prayerfully, we had the money, but that kind of dipped into money that we had going towards our closing costs, our down payment for home, and different things like that. Yeah. And outside of that, even bigger is the fact that the market is extremely competitive right now.
And then when you're looking for a house, like, and you're married, number one, you have to look about how close is this to my job? How close is it to his job? How good are the schools in the area, especially if you have kids? Like, are they good schools? Is it a diverse area? Is it like, there's so, like, is the house,
it's the house, it's
are
the
we
community.
gaining things? Are we losing things? Are
Yes.
we, oh my goodness, there's so many things that you have to worry about, especially now, because you can't just say, like, pick from a catalog of all these available houses. Because
so you can see a home that you like, and you go, that house is beautiful. Like for me personally, if I walk into a situation, I can imagine myself doing leisurely things. I can imagine myself sitting there watching TV or playing with my family or something like that. That's important. So you can see yourself and envision yourself in the community and different things like that. You'd be like, oh, I love the stuff that's in this community. This is a beautiful park. There's a creek down the street. It's a bike trail. These things are all wonderful. But then you find out, and I'm just going to use this as an example because it's pertinent to our situation. We're interracial couple, or we have a black daughter. We have a child. We're going to have a mixed child. Depending on the area that you're in, it's really frowned upon. So we could be in a really nice area, but it might be predominantly people who don't like people who look like me, or people who don't appreciate our relationship. That's important because now we have purchased a home, and we're not planning on purchasing a home and only being there 1 or 2 years. We're planning on being there for 10, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, maybe for the rest of our lives. So that's a very big step in decision. Work, we can kind of work around that to some degree, but it's like, okay, how far is the commute? And that dips into your day. If you have an hour commute, and you have to be to work at 7 o'clock, that means you have to probably be up at 5, which means you want to be asleep at a certain time. That dips in the quality time, family time, everything. Schools, right now, once again, with the pandemic, we just went through, schools were going remote. I believe that a lot of schools are probably going to still give some kind of a remote option. One of the reasons why we wanted to move is the school district, and I don't want my daughter to have to have virtual schooling for a year. I don't even want that to be, I can't. It has messed with the structure of her, who she is, and everything. Kids around, I don't like it. So I know that better school districts, different school districts, they already had started going back to school. But at the same time, how do I get to those districts? Because I'm like, okay, well, we can't buy a house. Let's rent a house. People snatch stuff up off the market. Okay, we'll go to another complex. But the complex that we live in right now, when we've just looked at a few things, it's kind of like we're not in the worst situation we can be in. We just wanted to upgrade. And actually a lot of stuff is a downgrade for what, $500, $400, $500 more.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's just kind of like, well, why would we have a less of a bathroom, less closet space, less room space, we're moving at a greater distance. We're paying more money and moving at a greater distance. So understanding that, despite the fact that we're a middle class family, we do okay. What it comes down to is that we might look like we should have more than what we have, but we appreciate what we do have because we understand that there are people who have less. And the presentation of us is kind of what it is. Like we're not keeping up with anybody.
Right. And that's the other thing. Like a lot of times I feel like women. I don't know if you can maybe speak on the men part, but like women, when you look at other people, there's so many people coming at women from all angles. Like, you can do everything that you think you're supposed to do. You can keep your house. You can feed your family. You can dress a certain way, do your makeup, do your hair. You can do all these things, but you're always going to have someone that is either A, going to tell you you're doing that wrong. You're not doing it enough. Why are you doing so much makeup? Why don't you do more makeup? Why are you feeding your family that? You should give them organic. You should give them this. You should give them that.
Why do I feel like this is a personal shot against me?
And it's like, what?
I never said nothing about organic, but I'm the person that typically says this type of stuff. I feel like this is
definitely not a personal attack against you.
I feel personally attacked right now. I never said nothing about organic, but
no. But it's like it's usually typically like on social media or different things like that. If I post a video of myself working out, why are you taking time to work out? You look fine. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to do this? Are you trying to do that? Like,
I think I kind of disagree. I'm not a woman. I don't want to speak for you, but what I disagree with is this. I think more so they would say, yeah, you should look good. You should be in the gym. Yep, you should be raising your kid. Yep, you should be working on your own 6-figure business. Yep, you should be doing this.
Well,
yep.
yeah,
I
but
think
that's the
it
other
should
thing
be
because like you should be doing, but they feel like you should be doing everything and you should be doing it a very specific way. So like if I choose to be a stay-at-home mom, and then another woman chooses to go and have a business and let her kid be in daycare or whatever, there's nothing wrong with either choice. It's that what that family has decided.
Right.
But I could be villainized because why are you letting the man do all the work and bring all the money and you're not doing anything? And if I go to work, oh, why are you leaving your babies alone with strangers and blah blah blah. Like there's so many people who have so many opinions on how other people should live. Just live your own life.
Yeah, that's why it's the pressure of lifestyle.
Yes, and it's so draining sometimes.
Well, for me, so I'm gonna speak from my perspective. One of the things we talked about this kind of ad nauseum, and sometimes we kind of just let it go. We talk about lifestyle, right? We talked about your brother has a larger family. Your sister at any point she could pop up with a baby, and you could be looking. And it's like lifestyle is different. Mm-hmm. You live with me. You know the things that happen. You know how I work. We just had a conversation about my schedule. Like, you just work 3 nights in a row. Like, if we have a child, the way our life is set up, I would work more, not less. The moving situation, if we had to pay extra money, I would work more, not less. Mm-hmm. So all of those things factor into lifestyle. So it's like, okay, babe, I want to spend time with you. I want to do this. I want to do this podcast. I'm like, I got to sleep. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for things I want to do.
Yeah.
You talk to me about writing a book. When I have time, when am I going to have time to write a book? Mm-hmm. Being a part of boards and administrations. When am I going to have time to do that? Right. I have to make actual tangible money. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, well, focus on your own business. When do I have time to focus on my business when I have to have actual income because I have actual people depending on me to pay? It's a system. That's a pressure for men. Yeah. That's a pressure of a certain lifestyle. Mm-hmm. Somebody could look at me and say, Justice, like, why are you working for anyone? Why aren't you working for yourself? It's because now, at this point in time, the guidance that we're like therefore of hasn't happened. So now I have a wife. I have a child. If I had another child, that's already on me. Yeah. I don't have the ability to fail.
Yeah.
I don't have the ability to do less. My family's dependent on me. So even though I might have the skills and the wherewithal to do something, I'm already. Some days it seems like I'm grinding myself into the dirt. If I add, I can't do less. I would only be adding more. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, how long can you sustain this? And then you have this level of desperation where it's like, yo, I have to do this quick because I can't keep doing this and sustaining this for years. I can't sustain this for months. Mm-hmm. So I have to do this quickly. Mistakes happen. You treat your family different because you're under immense pressure. She's like, oh, can I hug you? Can I kiss you? And I'm like, I don't want anyone touching me because I'm stressed and you don't understand the pressure. You want to live in this big house. You want to be in this community. You want to go to this school. You want to go to this, like, whatever the case may be. My daughter just came to me with a list of schools for fashion design that she's thinking about going to. It's pressure. And a lot of times people don't understand, from one situation to the other. So, if we had a child, somebody might say, one of the things that we hear a lot of, and it annoys me, is people are like, well, when are you gonna have a child or have a baby? Or if I'm like, look, I'm not super excited about the prospect for the logistical reasons, not actually having a child, but the logistical. And people call me selfish. They're like, you're selfish. You should just do it. You'll never be prepared or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, pause. It's not about being prepared. It's about understanding how inadequately prepared we are.
Yeah.
There's a difference between saying I want to save this amount of money to have a kid and utterly understanding that if we just drop the baby into the kind of salt baited the salt baited baby into our life right now, nothing would get easier. Mm-hmm. And if we already understand how I want to say difficult. If we looked at my life and Faith was like, I want to spend more time with you, Justice, but we threw a baby in there. Guess what's happening? Less time. Mm-hmm. Less time together, more time actually apart, more time of me actually having to work. And so her connections and our family dynamic and everything would change because my dynamic is I have to provide. I can't think about some of the stuff I have the ability to think about now. I can't. Mm-hmm. And so when you're like, well, why are you being snappy? Because I'm tired. Like earlier today, you said, well, you kind of got snappy. I'm like, I'm tired. I haven't really slept in 3 days. Mm-hmm. So if I add that kind of stuff, even if I just had went and I got a different job. We talked about that too. That comes with a level of caveats. If I'm working a high stress job, I'm making an income, but I'm working a high stress job. The justice that you marry, the justice that you know, is not going to be the same. Because you're like, well, if work is stressing you out, well, why do you do this and why are you doing that? And I'm just like, do you really understand how we pay for everything? Do you understand how this works? Do you understand this? And you do. But at the same time, even today, you were like, you work 3 days in a row. Why are you working an additional day? I've been doing this for years now, and you still looked at me like, didn't you just work? Like, didn't you just work? And it's like, yeah, it would be worse. You'd be like, do you work again tonight? Oh, okay. Do you work again tonight? Do you work again tonight? Do you work tomorrow morning? And eventually it's going to be like, okay, like you'll be able to deal because you're the type of person that doesn't necessarily need me. But it's just kind of like, damn, this trade-off, was this trade-off worth it? Because it's not what I thought it should be. Yeah. Because I have the baby, I have this, but I have less of my husband. And he has less of himself. And damn, like it. So it's like people have to think and acknowledge the changes in lifestyle.
The stuff that you're seeing, like that you might be envious of. That person that has that thing might regret the decision to get the thing, or they might.
Yes, yeah. We just segue from children to regret.
Not kids specifically. Just anything that you can decide to do. So the house, the car, the job, the whatever it is that you're envious of, that person may be
buyer's remorse.
Yeah, like they might actually regret having the thing or the job or living at the place or whatever it is that you're envious of, and because you don't know all of the ins and outs of what went into getting it, what's going into keeping it, whether or not they could be really close to losing it, like all of those things. So when you talk about these things, like you just gotta remember, like keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the Kardashians, it's a thing that people say, and like, because it's real, it's legitimate. People do that thing. Like they see this person has this, I need to do the same thing. Like I'm sure people know, even if it's not in your personal life, like you might know stories of coworkers or people who like, oh, every time I get a new phone, so-and-so from downstairs gets the same thing because he saw I got it. Or if I just got a new car, so such and such person, my neighbor got a new car. I got a new lawn, or like whatever it is. Your neighbor does the same thing because they see you, and it's like monkey see, monkey do.
Or they hate on your lifestyle choices. Somebody will say like, "Oh, you got an Audi 6. Oh, those things are, the maintenance is a lot. Can you afford that? Oh, you moved to this community, the schools are bad." Like people low key kind of hate on you too because if they can't get it, what they want to do is make you feel like you made a bad decision
downgrade your decision.
Right.
Yes.
So I was like, it works both ways, and I've done it. See, she's more so of, I kind of envy that. I'm more so of the person that, and it's not because I'm purposely trying to downgrade it. It's literally I'm like, okay, this is fine and dandy, but do you know that car, like an Audi, right? Audis, you have to take the Audis to the Audi dealership to get worked on. There's certain vehicles you can't just take to a mom and pop shop. You can't just take it to a Jiffy Lube. You got to take it to where it's at. So I might say, hey, that's cool. Now I won't say that anymore. People are adults. Do what you want to do with your money. But I'm like, it's cool that you have this vehicle, but you understand, it's cool that you have this home, and it's like this, your mortgage is this, and you can afford your mortgage, but you also understand the sewer line, the way the sewer system is in this community. Your your pipes freeze and different things like that. Like, did you think about that? People are like, oh, I didn't. How many people are really looking at homes, especially today? They're thinking about the pipes. They're thinking about different things. People are snatching up stuff off the market. Yeah. I wish I had pulled up an article. I apologize, guys. But a lot of us have heard about what's going on in the market, and there's a lot of buyer's remorse, especially among millennials, which we are. Because like if we had the opportunity and we had the funds to be able to go get a home right now, we're likely like, okay, it has all these things, and this is good enough. And then we get in there and we're like, oh crap, we didn't think about this.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't think about that.
Because there's so many things to think about.
Yeah.
It's like,
because it seems we feel like we should have a house. And part of that is society. Part of that is just us. Like, and it's not always what you see in society. It's kind of what you just see in yourself, what you want. It's like, we feel like we deserve a house, or we should be in a house, or we can envision ourselves in a house. But understanding maybe that's not our season. I personally, and it's kind of cool when I think about it. I personally said I've always wanted to farm. So maybe if we did, the money, none of this stuff changes, so maybe an opportunity for a farm comes up, and we could buy, get a farmland. Maybe something else happens. Maybe We could have bought a house that's closer to your job, but then you're capped here and you can't do anything else. And then boom, we wanted to move here. There's a better opportunity with more room for growth. And it's like, oh my goodness, you can go, but it's an hour, 30-minute commute. Like, it sounds like a lot of overthinking. I know a lot of people just like throw caution to the wind, and I get it. Sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
But what I've learned in my own life, because I've done pretty much everything on my own, when you're doing it by yourself and on your own and it's just you, go ahead. Take risk, fail. I have a wife that I care for deeply. I have a daughter I care for deeply. If we have a child, I'm going to care for them deeply. I don't have the ability to fail because they fail as well. Mm-hmm. So somebody could look at me and be like, well, why don't you do this? Or why do you work? Why do you do that? I work the way that I work, but I still spend more time with my family than most people. Like, we're going away this weekend again, as a family. And then in a few weeks from that, we're going away as a couple. And then I'm going away by myself. And then we're going away again with friends and stuff. Some of those people don't have that. I know people who don't go on date nights. Mm-hmm. We go on date nights at least twice a month, at least. And that's more so has to do with, not wanting to keep you up all the time, just the way your schedule is right now. But if you were Monday through Friday, we would probably be going away every weekend. And some people don't have that ability to do that. I just realized something from the last podcast I meant to mention. But everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. So whereas I don't have somebody that can be at my beck and call. I don't want to say beck and call, but for Arabella all the time, what we do have is the ability to say, hey, on the weekend she can go with her Mima or her mother. And we can have time to ourselves to do other things we might want to do. Sans Arabella. Some people don't have that. Their kids are with them all the time, but we have to think about that. If we have a child, there is no date night without the child. Mm-hmm. So even if I did work more and then we still wouldn't have time, because it's like, all right, we have time for a date night. I want to go away. Well, who's going to watch our baby for 2 nights? Would you even trust it? Once you have the child, you might say, oh, I trust my mom, I trust so-and-so. And you had the baby, like, I don't even trust you with, like, it's because it happens. So it's like, all right, and then you might not even want to do anything. You might just want to be with the baby all the time. And it's like, well, what about me? Like, people got to think about that. I know enough for people in relationships where it's like, dad, husband is secondary, children are first. Or dad has a business or he works, family, wife, children are secondary, tertiary, because his work comes first. I know people's purpose. They're like, I might work with kids in the community. My purpose with kids in the community might outweigh my kids at home. Yeah. So the pressure of lifestyle is very real. It's very prevalent. We just wanted to bring this to the forefront to make sure that people understand, like, when it's your season, it's your season. We might have to stay in this apartment for another year. Mm-hmm. I remember when we first moved. Remember how much I hated this place? Remember how angry I got? Yeah, you really I really was upset.
But now going around looking at other places.
But think about why I was mad. Because what did we have to do to get this place? Rush.
Yeah, we had to rush.
What did we have to do to get both those cars? Remember what happened? We moved and immediately had to move to a new place. We were both moving an hour away. Back to an area I didn't want to move to, and then had to get 2 vehicles.
Yeah, within a couple of months.
Not within a month, and put my kid in another school. Like, it was a lot. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, blessedly, we had it, but it was rushed, and none of the stuff were the things we would have done if we had time, if we had the ability, if we really just kind of thought it out. Mm-hmm. And now we're kind of in a position where we can kind of think it out better. Yeah, we want a house. But we can rent a house, but we like to purchase a house. If we take another year, save up a little bit more money, the market kind of cools down a bit, some things open up, some blessings happen, we can be in a better situation next year, maybe an extra year, with the COVID thing died down a little bit, and maybe it'll be our season next year. Yeah. We don't know. It still could be our season coming up, but.
Yeah. So. Well, with that, we'll leave you. Just let us know what you thought. Like, what kind of things do you face on a daily basis when it comes to pressures of lifestyle, things like that? Let us know if this resonates or if we're just talking out our butts. Like,
oh no, we ain't talking out our butts. But just let us know what lifestyle pressures you're facing. Right. Is it children? Is it moving out of your parents' home? That's a big thing. Is it getting a better job? Is it going back to school? Is it losing weight? There's so many different avenues. Actually, we could do a pressure of we could do knowing when it's your season. We might make this a series. Pressure of lifestyle, knowing when it's your pressure of lifestyle, knowing when we might make a series out of it. Let's have a talk about it because we're all under immense pressure. Life is very hard.
Yeah.
This is why we end with saying
it's better. It's definitely better when you know you're not in it alone.
Right. This is why we end with saying make sure you maintain your faith and keep your justice strong. That's not just something we say, that's something we believe. Like you maintain your faith and you keep your justice strong, which means that you
maintain your justice.
Keep
your faith strong.
Well, it works both ways. So it's maintain your justice and keep your faith strong. But if you maintain your faith and keep your justice strong too, either way, your strength and your convictions will always be what they need to be.
Yeah.
You'll always make sure that you're giving the universe, God, whatever you believe. I don't want to push things on people, but we're a God-fearing household. And you cast those things to Him, and then you trust that. You know what? When it's your season, when it's your time, these things will happen in that time and not your own because we don't know. Right. We don't know as well as we think we do.
Yeah.
Think about how many mistakes you've made. I know I've made plenty. This is one of the greatest blessings I've ever had, and it could have been one of the worst mistakes if it was up to me. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you maintain your justice. I said it wrong again, didn't I?
Yes. Keep your faith strong.
Keep your faith strong.
And maintain your justice.
I gotta put up cue cards or something.
Bye.
Don't put up peace signs.